How's it going, dads? If you're tired of starting your weight loss journey and you're struggling and you keep having to restart over and over and over, this is the time to watch this video, sit down, and take notes. It's going to be a longer one. I'm not going to lie. It is a long video, and there's a reason for that. I'm about to be detailing my entire program, the things that I use to coach clients and get great results, the thing that I'm using for my 55-pound weight loss challenge, 55 pounds in 6 months, that whole thing. All of it is going to be detailed A to Z in this program. I'm going to go into lifting. I'm going to go into nutrition. I'm going to go into movement. I'm going to go into mindset, all of it. And the reason why I am doing this is because I wasn't sure quite how I wanted to introduce myself, which is why I haven't done an intro video. I just kind of started plopping stuff out. And it felt like I wanted to do it right. I hurt my knee really bad a couple years ago. And I watched a video from someone, Ben Patrick, knees over toes guy. What he did not only fixed my knee, that was a huge thing. The other thing that he did was he had a podcast where he talked about videos. They asked him a question about how he blew up on YouTube and how his whole thing worked. There's not much. If you're just looking at the slides, you're not going to get as much out of it because I'm not good at technology. There was a lot of stuff. I've got a shortened schedule, so I kind of just gave myself a template to talk about, and I'm going to be deep diving, talking on each slide. So hopefully you guys are there, you're watching, you're taking notes, you're going to get an idea of the structure and all that stuff. And then, that's kind of it. So please stick around. I promise you there is a lot of value in this video, more than I would have probably thought to put out initially. If I'd been going about this a little bit differently, I wouldn't have tried to put my entire program out there. But that is what it is, the whole thing, A to Z. So I'll see you guys during the PowerPoint presentation, and let's get into it. He talked about how it doesn't matter. Your video quality doesn't matter. Try to get a little bit better each day, learn a different system every day, something like that, great. But at the end of the day, as long as your content and what you're trying to do is help somebody every single day, only good things will happen. Whether that's fulfillment, whether that's gaining clients, whatever it is. And I can tell you, for me, even though I've got like 3 comments on my videos and only a few views and 9 subscribers, which I greatly appreciate, by the way, because I did not see that coming at all. Even just like that first time I saw I had a subscriber, I was like, whoa, somebody's watching me. It feels that it is fulfilling. Like even at this level, it is very fulfilling. And to see that somebody's viewed something, hopefully they're gaining something out of it, even if it's just motivation as I'm losing weight. I don't really care what they get out of it. I just hope that you guys enjoy it or learn something. And that's why this video is coming out. So I'm going to be detailing everything A to Z. All right, let's get right into it. Like I said, I know there's going to be a long video, so please take your time, take notes, pause if you need to. It's going to be a lot of information that I really think you guys can benefit from. This is just kind of a summary of what my challenge is going to be about and how I'm going to do it. So, just to read quickly off the slide, how I am going to take control of my life, body, energy, and confidence by losing 55 pounds in 180 days using the same coaching methods I use with my online clients without losing muscle, excessive diets, or obsessive tracking. The one thing I want to note on that is the excessive tracking is a little misleading because the coaching program is all about tracking, right? BodySmith method, the BodySmith system is all about tracking. It literally uses structure and tracking the plan that is in at hand in order to get results. The reason why I say without obsessive tracking is because for the clients that I work with, I take on the majority of their tracking, right? Responsibilities. All they need to do is get the data to me. I track it. I look for inconsistencies and I read it and I adjust the plans and all that stuff. So that if you're just taking that part for what itself, like, oh, I don't have to track anything. If you're not with a coach of some sort, where, me or whoever it is that you find, tracking does become a thing. Now, I still don't think it's obsessive. I think it's a necessity for most things. If you really want to be successful, if you need the data to back that up. Anyway, yeah, so that's all there is to that. I'm going to quickly move on to the next screen. I want to make this full screen for me. There we go. All right, before we dive in, I'm Matthew Smith, and this is a detailed step-by-step plan breakdown on how I plan to lose 35 to 55 pounds in the next 4 to 6 months, prioritizing fat loss, muscle retention, and sustainable transformation that I can keep for life. This exact system is the one that I use to help multiple clients like Brian here get life-changing results. By applying these strategies, you can also achieve an incredible transformation and regain control of your life. That's one of my old clients, Brian. He's still incredibly fit to this day. One of the coolest transformations I've ever seen. You'll see other pictures of him later on. Don't even remember which pictures I had on the first slide. You might have already seen one of them. But yeah, crazy transformation. Listen to everything I said, everything that you guys are about to get in this video. So, keep that in mind. Who this is for. If you're tired of feeling burned out, overwhelmed, stressed thin, and basically just like you're trying to juggle too much, this is for you. If you're looking to regain control of your life, body, energy, and confidence, this is for you. If you're tired of extreme fad diets, misinformation, and all or nothing cycles, this is for you. And if you feel like you're stuck in a cage, an endless loop, and you want to get out, this is for you. If you're looking for a quick fix, detox, or crash diet, this is not for you. If you are expecting results without showing up consistently, this is not for you. If you are not open to changing the habits of your current lifestyle, this is not for you. And if you are not willing to take harsh truths and constructive criticism, this is not for you. At the end of the day, guys, this stuff isn't for everybody. Some people are fine being where they're at. They're fine being unhealthy and unhappy. And they're not truly fine with it, but they just don't have the drive or the willpower to do anything about it, which is really sad. I often find that I end up caring about my clients' results more than they do because I know how much it can change their entire life, not just in fitness, but their entire life. Everything changes, not just because of the way you look or your abs or anything like that, which all that stuff, as vain as it sounds, makes a huge fucking difference. But the biggest thing that changes is once you have these systems in place and you apply them and you do them consistently, the big thing that changes for you is your overall self-worth or how do I word that? Basically, you start to believe in yourself again. Self-trust. That's the word I was looking for. Your self-trust. So when you tell yourself like, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it next time or whatever, a lot of the time you don't end up getting to it. When you stick to something for this long, it reinforces in your brain that you are someone that does what you say you're going to do. And you actually know how to do it. So say your goal was to learn how to play guitar after this or learn another language. You're going to learn how to track that and follow it and make a plan to do those things. That way, when you're not learning the language, you look back at it and you're like, oh, well, no shit, I didn't learn the language. I only spent 10 minutes a day trying to figure it out, right? Instead of whatever. Anyway, little rant there, but it's not for everybody because some people they need a little extra. Here's the truth that no one talks about. And it's because when you see someone that is eating a lot and they're not working out and they're doing all this stuff, it's easy to just be like, they need to get their life together. They're lazy. Oh, why don't they just do this, do that? The truth is most of them aren't lazy or ignorant. They're just overwhelmed. They're just stretched thin. They're juggling too much at once, like I said in the beginning. I mean, we've all been there. Most of us got where we were at because we sacrificed the lifestyle we used to have as we took on more responsibilities. We let ourselves fade away as we gained all this other stuff. And we just got in a cycle of, wake up, feed the dog, go to work, come home, take care of the kids, get them ready for bed, go to bed, repeat. And during all that, you just kind of lose yourself, right? And you get stuck in that cycle that you're not happy with, and you end up with mental health struggles like chronic stress and burnout, anxiety, poor sleep, identity loss, all those things that I just mentioned. It's almost like there's a couple analogies that I really like. Passenger in your own car as you're driving through life, a background character in your own movie. All these things just kind of illustrate how it can feel sometimes to just not be in control. And it causes this giant loop, as you can see here, where stress and poor sleep lead to low energy. When you have low energy, you end up gaining weight and making bad food choices, which pushes your confidence and everything else even lower and your self-worth. And it just compounds on itself in a circle. And then you're up 50 pounds. So I don't think you're lazy. I don't think you're ignorant. I just think you need certain things in place. And that's the next step is what people think is the problem versus the reality. They think I need more motivation, when in reality, they need a simpler system. They need to track, they need to plan, and they need to simplify their life. Stop Stop with the guesswork. Figure out what are your pain points in life and start eliminating. Like, if you have the money to spend and dinner time and cooking is a huge problem, there are ways you can eat out that are extremely healthy still. There's ways that you can reach your goals, whether it's a meal prep service, whether that's going to the health places that have healthier options like a Chick-fil-A or a Chipotle. I mean, I know that I'm not saying that we're reinventing the wheel here. I'm not saying that that's the healthiest thing that you could possibly do. But I'm saying if your mental load is so stressed that having somebody come clean your house would take that much pressure off you and you can afford it, do it. If you can't afford it, then you have to look at other areas. But I promise you, I've never worked with somebody where we couldn't simplify their life or at least simplify their system and find time, right? Get out your calendar, start marking things down, figure out where you actually have the room to make improvement. I need the perfect plan. You don't need the perfect plan. Consistent, repeatable actions, not extremes, right? So if you do something consistent and it's repeatable and you can do that over a long term, perfection isn't needed. You don't need perfection. You just need to be able to repeat something over and over and over and over. And that is honestly how success is really born. In anything you do, it's who can make, if you want to know who's going to win or lose, if you guys both start a task at the same time and say it's like school or business or whatever, it's going to be the person who can repeat the same fucking thing over and over and over. That's the person that's going to win. And I'll start when life slows down. Progress that can be maintained during chaos, right? Like, life is never going to slow down. It's only going to get busier. The more kids, the more animals, the more responsibilities you add to your life. It's just natural, right? Life gets chaotic because you're no longer living just your life. You're living multiples. Okay. You may be the main character in your story, but you're the side character in about 8 other people's. And so just acknowledging that, knowing that, and it'll allow you to progress and get through all the chaos. But you can't do that without a plan, a simpler system, and consistent, repeatable action. So don't worry if you're listening to this. I'm not going to let that happen to you. We got this. Let's move on. I'm going to show you exactly how to break the cycle and get out of the loop for good, how to lose so much weight that you get your energy, smile, and confidence back. I know that sounds cheesy and cliche. I promise you, you get where you got to go. It'll all happen. How to build the foundation and structural support to simplify your life. You noticing a theme here? So that you're not falling back into that dangerous loop, right? Foundational, structural support to simplify your life is one of the biggest things that my coaching program offers people. And whether you're not doing it through me, finding something to do that, and I'm not saying paying people, I'm saying finding a way to create that for yourself is going to be what helps you the most. How do you do all of this without giving up your favorite foods or spending more than 4 hours in the gym? Depending on where you're at when you start with me, a lot of my clients, some of them don't even go to the gym. Some of them do one body weight workout a week. One person actually right now that I'm working with is not going to have any workout program. Their life is probably the craziest I've ever seen as far as little time. I've never seen somebody with that little time. And so for them, we are focusing on everything else for now until we can get her to a point. Yes, I said her. Until we can get her to a point that she has less on her plate and can drop one of her jobs and can do some other stuff. So with her, I'm doing a little bit different style coaching. But she's doing great still. I mean, she's down 8 pounds in a relatively short amount of time. She's crushing it. And I don't know how she does it, but she's really bought in. And when you buy into something, you get results. It's that simple. For those of you who don't know me, which is anybody who hasn't worked with me locally, here's a brief story about how I got here. Yes, that is a very old photo. I'm extremely passionate about this lifestyle because I've seen how much it can positively change and shape so many lives. When I got out of the military, I moved to Houston. I fell into a dark place. I believe the gym saved my life. I was hooked. A little more on that. I was in a very, very, very dark place. I had fallen into some alcohol problems. I was there by myself. I'm from Idaho. And so everybody was a million miles away. And I had just lost everything. Honestly, motivation, willpower, everything was gone. I called my dad crying one day, basically just like, hey, this is what's going on with me. I don't know what to do. And he told me to throw away all the alcohol. He told me to toss it all away. And then for my Christmas present, he had me go to a gym and he paid for a month or a year membership, the remainder of the year, which was, I mean, basically 9 months at this point. He had me pay for 9 months, or he paid for 9 months of the gym membership, and he gave me a responsibility. He was not a, I mean, he was a gym guy, but he was not a coach. He was not a personal trainer. He was nothing. Just very loved the gym, liked working out, liked powerlifting. And he told me I needed to call him every day and let him know how the gym went, what I did, and everything else. I don't quite know how or why to explain it, but it completely jump started my extreme love of fitness and reshaped how I felt mentally, physically, all that stuff. Brought me back. It really did. And so what I've wanted to do ever since that time was bring that to somebody else. You know, like I said, I've seen the power that the gym can have in mentally fixing. I got to move myself real quick. Hold on. After moving back to Idaho, I started going to school and fell in love with my amazing wife. One thing led to another, and I ended up putting fitness on the back burner, and I took the first job I can find. So while I was in school, I was trying to figure things out, and I was going to Idaho State University at the time, and I was talking to my wife and everything else. And as we progressed, I moved to Boise, Idaho. We got established here, and I actually got my CDL to be a bus driver because at the time it was the best job that I could find financially, right? If you don't have your systems in place, fitness and coaching and stuff like that doesn't really make squat for money. And so I became a school bus driver. And then I transitioned from school bus driver to a truck driver where I drove locally for Swire Coca-Cola. Went from that to over the road. And shortly after that, I had my first major injuries. And so what I was dealing with was I was still running. I was still fit at that point. But what I was dealing with was I could no longer move because of my knee. And I couldn't do anything with my shoulder. And I was locked into a job that had me sedentary for 14 hours a day. And it all just compounded really quickly. And I put on a lot of weight. And I was still, at this point, I loved fitness and it was still a part of my life, but it felt impossible, I guess. So yeah, truck driving, arguably the furthest thing from fitness there was. I was stuck, fell back into a dark place. This is during that injury I was talking about. I wasn't living my dream. I knew my passion for fitness had only grown and that it was a career I was meant to be there. And so when I realized what had happened, that I'd fallen back down this dark place. Now, it wasn't alcohol. At this point, I had my wife. We were expecting my first child, my daughter. And I really wanted to get back to what I knew made me happy. Because if I wasn't happy, then no one around me was going to be happy. We all feed off each other's energy, right? And so I went and got certified, put myself through some more transformation stuff. I really was like trying hard to nail down a system specifically for truck drivers. It is the most unhealthy lifestyle you can possibly imagine. Nothing but truck stop food, where if you want something healthy, is to spend $10 for a tiny fruit cup. You got $5 protein drinks, and outside of that, you don't have shit. It's all greasy food from there. Chips, candy bars, long days on the road, areas that are not like, even if you do stop for the night, you're in places where you don't want to get out of your truck, or it's in the wintertime and it's below zero outside, depending on where you're at. And it's just incredibly unhealthy. So I initially got certified with the idea of building a program for that demographic. And I have built multiple programs. I actually lost a lot of weight while I was over the road. It was just a lot more work. And at the time, I hadn't had the inspiration to get this stuff started. So there's that. So now for the last 8 years, I have been personal training, coaching, and helping clients reach their fitness goals by implementing strategies that work in real life. That's the big thing. People that are extremely busy, being able to do stuff and work even while you're, in life. So for example, if you work a 12-hour shift and then you come home and you have to take care of the kids, it's not really, it leaves a lot of room for error, right? Like, you're not going to be able to just go to the gym when you got a family at home waiting for you. And if you do, sometimes it can be kind of a dick move, especially if your wife needs help. And so you're at work, you get that text like, hey, let me know when you're on your way home. The kids are being crazy. I could really use some help. Are you going to be mentally in the right space to be like, no, screw you, I'm going to the gym? Probably not. It's also not only mentally not in the right space at the gym, but it's probably not the right move in general, right? Go help out your wife. And so what I did is I really focused in on how you can hit your goals and you can lift weights and get jacked and get ripped and all that stuff, regardless of what your lifestyle is. As a father, as a very busy human being. Really anybody, but I particularly feel partial to fathers. It was my father that put me down this path, and and I am a father myself. A lot of people don't understand that aren't blue collar workers. Not saying this doesn't apply to everybody. I'm just saying a lot of the blue collar workers that spend their entire day doing labor, it's hard not to just want to fall back into the couch and drink a beer, or you know, just relax before you start the day all over again. And that's honestly the cycle we need to break. We need to break the passivity that's going on when you're outside of work, when you're around your family and things like that. And if you follow this, I'm telling you, I have a cheesy thing that I worked with some of my in-person things where it's like, how to be a superhero mom or superhero dad. And it all kind of ties into the same thing. But I'm not going to get too much into there, but the goal is kind of like, I do want to be that superhero parent, right? Like I remember being a kid looking at my stepdad and thinking like, this dude is the coolest guy in the world. He's strong as hell. No one messes with him. He goes to all our stuff. He plays basketball with us. And then you see all the other dads sitting on the sidelines, just doing nothing while he's there, just being a badass. And like, in that respect, he was kind of a superhero for me. And, I want to bring that to you guys. You guys should be the superhero in your child's eyes. And that's my goal, is I want to be a superhero in my daughter and my son's eyes. Full-time trucker by day, online coach by night. I kind of online coach throughout the entire day because a lot of the time I'm waiting on docs, and that's the perfect time for me to check up on my clients' progresses. And again, a couple hours in the morning, and then if I have time, a couple hours at night. Not if I have time. I get through everybody every day, but you get the gist. Yeah, let's get back on track. I'll talk to you about how this will help you now that you know who I am and my backstory. Again, this is kind of like my intro. BodySmith Coaching. That was my first ever transformation, by the way. That was the first doll. That was the beginning. This guy, the one on the left, it's obviously me. Things are a little bit different. I'm a lot bigger now, but other than that, that's kind of the gist. The BodySmith Coaching System is a method I built through my own trial and error, putting myself through countless transformations to see what really works and applying those lessons to my clients. Now I've decided to break it all down for you. And these are just a couple of my clients. You got Javi, you got Brian. Javi was not a dad, but I knew him personally, and he reached out to me, and I was like, yeah, man, I got you. And boom, that's that. In the following steps, I'll outline the entire process A to Z of what I did to accomplish these results, so you too can use BodySmith coaching principles to regain control of your life, body, energy, confidence by losing, 55 pounds in 180 days using the same coaching method I use with my online clients. Generally, the time frame that most people use and see results is 20 to 35 pounds in 4 months, depending on how much they need to lose. And then, 40 to 55 pounds in 6 months, again, depending on how much they need to lose. And there's a grace period where it goes from fat loss to building some muscle and kind of like that upward trajectory. And it's really cool because you can completely transform your body, which you guys are going to see real time through these videos. Okay, so the BodySmith coaching system has 3 essential phases: the reset phase, the consistency phase, and the ownership phase. Each made up of 4 guidelines based on, this stuff isn't reinventing the wheel as far as like what it is. Everything to do with fitness is in regards to these 4 things: training, nutrition, movement, and recovery. Movement is separate from training because I really want to talk about it. It drives me fucking nuts when I listen to people talk about cardio. The reset phase is a 4-week phase focused on building the foundation of lifestyle changes needed to break out of the mental cage. Training is 3 to 4 times a week max, no advanced programming, none. It's simple, and it's simple for a reason. You are trying to get out of that hectic, chaotic life. Adding a bunch of complex shit is not going to help you. It's just going to fatigue you. Same with when I get to the movement portion. You'll see what I'm talking about. Nutrition, lowering food intake. I'm not just talking about calories, although calories will obviously be lower if we're trying to lose weight. You got to be in a deficit. What I am talking about is simplifying your list of meals that you're going to consume throughout the day, especially if you have families. This one's tricky because dinners can be hell, especially depending on which meals your wife chooses and how healthy they are. I don't even want to say how healthy, because that kind of puts a bad connotation, like it's your wife's fault. But more or less, are you planning for the uncertainty that dinner might be? Whether you guys have a meal plan, whether you guys don't, sometimes it can get a little frustrating for spouses when they make an entire meal and you're over there eating your chicken breast on the side. So how can you be more social? How can you eat the dinner with the family? How can you go out to eat when your friends and family are going out to eat and not slide back. And not only do you not slide back, you actually continue progressing at the high rate of speed in which this transformation takes place. That is what this is all about. It has to do with front loading. So you should be eating the same 1 or 2 meals, especially at this phase. You can expand on it later. The same 1 or 2 meals, every single meal throughout the duration of these first 4 weeks for your breakfast and for your lunch. Dinner can vary a little bit. And then from there, you just got to get a rough idea. There are apps that allow you to take pictures of the food and estimate calories. Just make sure you input what is in there so it has a better idea. So the overlords can have a better idea of what is in there. Overlords AI. So that way it gives you a rough estimate. And then I usually add 300 to 400 calories to that rough estimate just to give myself a buffer so that I'm, not screwing myself. If you're losing weight too fast, you can knock that buffer down to 200. Or if you have a wife that's super awesome and will break everything down for you, or if you're making the dinners yourself, which is often the case for me just because of how our schedules work. Often I get off work, I coach some clients, and then I go pick up my son, then we go get my daughter, I come home, I start dinner, and then my wife comes back later. So I have kind of a little bit beneficial in the fact that I'm making the meal so I know what's in it. A lot of the time, most of the time, she actually makes the meal plan. So I kind of, like for example, last night was ravioli and meatballs, pasta dish. And so I had the benefit of being able to track everything I was putting in there, but I wasn't about to change your meal plan either. So, I would have done things a little differently, but that doesn't matter. I was able to do just fine. If you're following my daily weigh-ins, you'll know that it didn't really hurt anything. I definitely am moving in the right direction. Yeah. Anyway, movement, high step focus only, no cardio at this point. You got to you got to restart how you're thinking about, words are hard. You got to think about cardio differently. You got to start thinking about it in terms of steps, not hill sprints, not HIIT cardio, not battle ropes, not jump roping, not sprinting, not long marathons, not 5K a day, none of that stuff. The reason why is because, one, you're already short on time. If you're, whatever, you're got a job, you got family. You also are already making a million changes. And all the other forms of cardio that I just mentioned are extremely taxing on your fatigue levels, your central nervous system, your muscles. They also lead to injuries, even ones as small and irrelevant seeming as shin splints, all the way up to much worse issues like patellar maltracking. And so you do these things, if you focus on steps, you're far less likely to get injured or burn out. And it also doesn't kickstart your hunger hormones. So ghrelin's not coming in and hitting you in the face, and you can have a much easier time, doing it. So getting 12 to 15,000 steps a day while adhering to the proper nutrition plan is your way to go. So movement, 12 to 15,000 steps. Nutrition is going to be based off you. Punch that in, get an estimate. Google will work wonders for that. And then from there, if you don't have a coach that's altering it for you, just track it for a little bit. Watch what your weight is doing for a week or two. If you're not seeing the progress you want, which you should be if you're doing the rest of the stuff, then just back it off another 150, 200 calories and just keep doing that until you're getting the results. But make sure you give it a little bit. Don't do it one day and then lower your calories. Give it like a week or two, then adjust your calories based off of your needs or up your steps. You could do either or. Say just give yourself 2,500 calories, 12,000 steps. Track that for 2 weeks. If you're not seeing any change in your body weight trend, then either up your steps 1,000 or lower your calories 150, or both if you want to be really aggressive. And then sleep. I can't emphasize that enough, even though I know you've all heard it. It's one of those things where it feels like you're beating a dead horse. You got to sleep. Sleep helps everything. It helps everything. Stress levels, hormones, weight gain or bloating, all that stuff. Sleep is a huge thing. Cognitive, feeling alive, feeling alert, your mood, your choices, everything is dictated or at least influenced by how much you sleep. I have a really hard time with this one because I'm so busy. Like I said, I'm up, if you've been following me, I'm up at 1 a.m. for the gym, which means the most I usually get is about 6 hours of sleep. And I really struggle with thinking that's okay. I need to do better about my own planning with that or being a little bit more aggressive. But when it comes to having the kids and waking up and having to be at work at a certain time for the truck driving, it kind of makes it hard to be a present and available father if I'm not. And so I do concede for myself that it's actually closer to 6 hours for me 7+ hours is recommended. Depending on what your goals are, obviously you could get 8, but 7+. Consistency phase, 8-week phase focused on maintaining and implementing changes. So at this point, you've made a lot of changes. You followed it for 4 weeks. You should be getting great results. And now this phase, we are just building on that. It's now turning the things that we've learned how to track into a consistent habit. We're reforming our brain. Siegfried and Roy talked about how, that modern psychology guy, not modern, he is the father of modern psychology. He talked about how human beings by nature, almost every action that they do is usually to run from pain or towards pleasure, right? And where that comes into play is we need to, by building these habits, your brain will start to associate the things that you used to dread, going to the gym, stepping on the scale, tracking your calories. They will go from a pain point that was just a stressor in your life to something that is now a pleasure. It is something that you don't even have to think about it. It no longer takes discipline. It no longer takes willpower. It'll now feel weird when you don't do it. It's similar to eating out. I used to eat out McDonald's and shit every day. Now, whenever my wife or anyone suggests it, I'm like, I'm good. I'll go there and I'll watch them eat sometimes, just because something that feels so normal and natural 1 minute, after doing it for a little while, it feels gross in your mind. And that's a good thing. Again, you've now changed what used to be pleasure into a pain point, the bad habit, and you're turning the good habits that used to be painful into a pleasure point. And that's what you're moving towards. Training has not changed, 3 to 4 a week. On that note, those, like I said earlier, those might be different based off of timing and what you are. Some people I put on full body splits that are 3 times a week, sometimes twice a week. Other people are on 5-day splits that are more of like a bodybuilding type approach or a push-pull legs type thing. So the training does fluctuate a little bit. It depends on where they're at, right? If the guy I'm working with is a 280-pound power lifter who's been lifting his whole life, I get breakouts a little bit more of the advanced rep schemes and intensity tricks than with somebody who's only been working out for 4 weeks. And that's not a bad thing. Everyone starts somewhere. And again, the minimum effective dose is what we're looking for. We're looking for how to get the most results with the minimal amount of effort we can when it comes to the gym. And the reason why is because all that'll do is make it to where you can keep implementing more and more stuff and keep making more and more progress for a longer period of time. Nutrition, still lower food intake. That's not going to change. I mean, we're trying to lose a lot of weight. We're lowering the food intake. We're adding more meal options. Remember I said eat the same thing for breakfast, same thing for lunch? Those are going up. You can now expand on your meal options a little bit. We'll end up, it's almost like you're writing your own cookbook over time. If your meal plan is this, and for this meal, you can have 600 calories and 300 grams of protein. That just came out, obviously. Don't do that unless you're a 300-pound person. But say that's what you're working with here. Well, then as we get into this next phase, we're going to be adding meals that have the same calorie and macros as that other meal that you enjoy. So you're essentially making your own cookbook as we go along this program. And that's one of the things that's going to make this a sustainable, lifelong thing. And then we're also going to be adding and looking for some restaurant and fast food options so that you can still, if somebody's like, hey, you want to go eat? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, where do you want to go? And you want to be like, I want to go to Chick-fil-A, or I want to go to, I'm trying to think of a Texas Roadhouse, or, things like that. That way you can still do all those things. And that you have certain meals at those places that not only do you enjoy, but will get you, it's like you're not skipping a beat, basically. Movement, exact same as it was before, but this is with the exception of if you have somebody that has certain cardio-based goals, like they want to get in better shape for basketball, or they want to run a marathon at the end of the year, or things like that. Here's where you can start implementing some more specific cardio to somebody's plan, or to your plan, I guess. I don't know why I'm talking like I'm coaching a coach, but you can add this to your plan and go from there. But for the first 4 weeks, please just focus on steps. You're going to be making a lot of changes, and you don't want to fuck things up because you're burning yourself out trying to do a bunch of running. Same with this phase. Don't go crazy with it. But if you want to implement a little bit of stuff that's a little more specific to your hobbies and interests, absolutely do that. Do it. Sleep doesn't change. Ownership phase, 4-week phase. Some of this is not going to really apply to you guys. A lot of this is for me. This is a phase that we go into it. They've already been doing this shit for 12 weeks. They've got an idea. I am now more of a monitor at this phase. I do the initial programming to give them an idea of some stuff, or if their training is increased enough that I can show them some advanced rep schemes and some stuff. But for the most part, this is more about client independence and breaking free of needing to be trained and making sure that those habits are stuck and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's just lifestyle changes and habits are automatic. Training is 3 to 5, fully client driven with a structure. So like I said, I give a structure. I talk about some advanced rep schemes, all that stuff, but I kind of let them decide how they want to build out their program. And I just monitor it and I throw in my 2 cents here or there. But the goal of this phase is that they weren't just being forced into it. It's kind of like, or they're not being dropped off a cliff. Too many people rebound. And this is my answer to that. This phase is my answer to people that get amazing results and then they backslide into the life they were in before. I want to be a little more hands off, and I want to be able to monitor them and help them along and coach them along as needed. But this phase is more about, hey, like training. I call it training wheels. Like here's your training wheels. Let's go. I'll be right here. If we stumble, if we fall, nothing wrong with that. We'll keep building. Nutrition raises food intake just enough to keep the metabolism firing, adjusting intuitively with data, making sure the client understands the difference between maintenance and deficit cues, as well as how to avoid seasonal structural mindset. The old bulk in the wintertime, shred in the summertime shit that has been going on forever. Yeah, no, you want to keep the progress year round. You'll gain just as much muscle as if you were to bulk, and you have less, and you can stay shredded all year round. That's really all there is to it. Like it's hard to explain in this video. I'll do a whole guide on just this, but you don't need to do the up and down with your weight to put on muscle and get big. You can just stay steady right around maintenance and go up a little bit, and then you'll go. You still look good, but you're putting on a little bit of weight, but you're also putting on muscle. And then you only need to do a short little tiny deficit phase, and you will have your 6-pack back without losing any of the muscle. And I'm telling you, it is way better. Don't do the seasonal bulk and cut shit. The rest of that is just a fancy way of saying adjusting intuitively with data, aka tracking your calories and everything else, making sure the client understands the difference between maintenance and deficit cues. And those are how your body should feel. That one's a little bit harder to explain if I'm not in the moment and people aren't asking questions. How your body feels, which things to look for to know whether you are or not in a deficit. Like, do you feel hungry all the time? Yeah, that one's harder to explain. I'll give a much more thought out video explanation on that one, probably on the whiteboard. But just know that basically that's a phase that you're going to be learning. And if you watch my videos, I'll go deep into it to where, in a way, when my brain's actually thinking about it, so that you understand how to, find that shit out for yourself. Movement steps are monitored, but as with training, it is client driven. So from there, I'm not going to tell them how many steps I want them to get. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to monitor their steps. And after a couple of days or so, seeing if it's a habit or not a habit, then I'll pop in and be like, hey, what's going on here? I like what you're doing. What are you thinking? Is this something you purposely did? Blah, blah, blah. So that's each phase in a nutshell. I'm going to quickly go over them again individually, but because I kind of broke them down right there, I think I kind of forgot that I had slides like this in the next few. So that part should be fast. And yeah, I did. Here's how I will optimize each necessary part, and I'm implementing it in my everyday to 35 pounds in 16 weeks. That is all over the place. I think I already talked about it. The reason why I have 2 different numbers is because I have goals. My 35 pounds in 16 weeks is my aggressive 4-month one. And then I'm going to be carrying that over to the 55 pounds in 6 months, 180 days, basically. Training, nutrition, movement, and recovery. Okay, so this is basically what everything is founded on, right? Not just BodySmith, but just everything in general when it comes to fitness is a balancing act of these 4 things. So your training, how intense you are, your form, your selection, your exercise selection, your rep schemes, all that stuff, and your cardio. So I'm just going to get the obvious ones out of the way first. Your cardio is typically walking for me. I've seen people get absolutely shredded off of just walking. You don't need to go crazy unless you have a sport-specific goal or you're trying to do something. Yes, elevating your heart rate is good for cardiovascular reasons, and I'm not telling you not to do that. And matter of fact, I would say do that, but just limit it, right? Like steps should be your main form of cardio and weight loss and health, and is also very good for your heart. So that's how I feel about cardio. Selection. exercise selection, especially in the beginning, keep it basic. You don't have to go crazy with the splits. You don't have to do a bunch of supersets. You don't have to do a bunch of drop sets. You don't have to reverse pyramid train. You don't have to do any of that stuff. I mean, just especially in the first 4 weeks, just pick 4 or 5 exercises. Like say you're doing an upper body push day type deal, or maybe, yeah, we'll do chest and biceps because that's like a good combination because you don't pre-fatigue your biceps doing back stuff. So chest and biceps, do some bench press. Matter of fact, I'll just tell you what I'm doing now. So I'm going from an incline bench press for 4 sets. My rep scheme is a little more complex, but for most people in the first phase, it'll be something along the line of 12 to 15 or 10 to 15 reps per set. Like I said, 4 sets. After that, it's going to go to like a dumbbell press or a weighted dips or machine press. Another pressing movement for 2 or 3 sets, also in that same higher rep range. And then from there, it's an isolated set where you go into some sort of fly or movement like that. If you don't want to do that one, a lot of my clients, I don't actually put that into their thing. They go right into the biceps. For the bicep, you're still in the higher rep range. We'll start with a barbell curl or a heavy dumbbell curl where you are isolating the muscle. And if you notice on right above selection on there, I've got form, which is grip and technique. On the last set, I want you to be pretty controlled in general. Don't do that sway, wingy shit where you're not getting anything out of it. Because at the end of the day, if you look up on the intensity thing, there's a thing for tension. It's time under tension, right? So the amount of time that you spend lifting the weight and having it under tension is one of the greatest factors you can look at when it comes to muscle growth. So if you aren't gaining size, if you're in the gym and you are not gaining size, time under tension is the main thing I would focus on. More than weight, more than reps, more than anything, time under tension. 40 to 50 seconds of tension per rep, or not per rep, but per set, and you should be golden. Form, grip, and technique. What I was talking about with that is when you're doing these sets, on the last set, if you are getting fatigued and you're trying to ink a couple more out, it's okay to safely use your momentum and body to get the weight up so that you can get an extra bit squeeze or emphasis on the muscle and get more of that time under tension I was talking about. Nutrition, macros selection, meal timing, cheat meals, things like that. I can't really speak on that, on how to help you, because I have an app for that, right? Like my clients use my specific app that I use to track everything that they do. But for you, MyFitnessPal, Chronometer, Macro Factor, there's so many apps that you can use to track your calories and macros and give you an idea of what to do. I don't believe in cheat meals. So cheat meals are naturally built into life. You don't need to be like, oh, it's a Sunday and I go to this week, so I'm going to have a cheat meal. Cheat meals are built in through birthdays, holidays. If you've got kids, you're going to know you're going to end up going to a lot of birthdays. That was the one thing nobody warned me about, was how many fucking birthdays I was going to be going to. But yeah, so there's that. Movement, your total step count, and then NEAT. NEAT and step count kind of go hand in hand. NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and basically it's everything that you do that burns calories that is not a planned workout. And that is relevant because that is where that whole superhero dad, superhero mom thing came from, was rethink the way you think about cardio. Use cardio like some examples, okay? If you don't go to the gym and you bust out a 30, 40-minute workout, great. Now you can spend an hour on a treadmill. Or you can go home and take your family, your kids on a walk, or take them back to a park that you would have ran anyway and let them play at the park and either play with them or just walk around the playground while they play. Take the baby in the stroller. These are all forms of cardio that you can do there. When it comes to other things, you can, help your wife out. Help your wife out. My mind just went so blank. Mop the floors or vacuum the floors or pick up things and put them away. Take things that need to go upstairs or downstairs. That way you're getting steps in and more activity and cardio in that way. Mow the lawn. Use the double down. Find a way, search for steps in a way that also benefits your household and yourself and the people in your house. Like, think about it. If you take some of these responsibilities off your wife, will she be happy about that? Will that make your life better? Right? Like, so figure out ways that you can turn cardio and step count into something that benefits everybody. And I mean, you might get brownie points. You might get more cardio at night. Who knows? But the point is that you're trying to do something that not only helps you, but somebody else in the house or does something. The amount of times me and my daughter have ran around the kitchen island and played tag just just because I knew that she fucking loved it, and I also needed to get the steps in. And they don't need to know why you're doing it. Just bank it and get some more out of it. Anyway, that's neat. And then sleep quality, rest days. Rest days, I still want you walking. If you want to turn it into like a stretching day or a mobility day, that's fantastic. Gives you an excuse to get out of the house and into the gym or to the park or whatever. But it's an active rest day. Let's put it that way. Active rest day. Sleep quality matters. Put your phone away, silence it, do what you need to do, get some sleep. Too many times, especially recently, I've woke up in the middle of the night, checked my phone, and then ended up going down a rabbit hole for the next 10 minutes before I catch myself. And I'm like, God damn it, go to bed. So those are the 4 pillars. I kind of rambled through that a little bit fast. A lot of that is specific to the individual. So I was just trying to explain. If you have any questions there, comment, and I'll do my best to answer them. I don't think anyone will, because no one knows who the hell I am. But don't expect to pop in there and give me a 2-second thing about your life story and then ask me a bunch of very specific questions. Like, I need to get to know you and what you do and what you're about and all that stuff before I can actually help you. So I'm not saying, if you want help, you have to go through me for coaching. I'm just saying I can only answer so many things if I don't know the specifics of your individual life. Like, I try to be very, how do I put it? Like, I try to be as helpful as possible, and throwing out generic fitnessy shit to someone's life that I don't know what it is, I would feel like I'm doing them a disservice, because I don't know if it would actually help them, I guess. So this is where I was at the beginning of my 55-pound challenge. So last week, I'm not going to go into the left side because I've already pretty much gone through all of it like a million times, but it's the same stuff. My plan was to go through each of these phases individually and give very specifics on what I do. And then I did that on the first damn slide. So yeah, I spent too much time there, so I'm just going to go fast through it. This is Brian. I told you guys you would see him again. This is where we were at in the beginning, and there's me in the beginning. He's already done all this. I could not find for the life of me, a progress photo from that time, from when he first started, other than his first photo that he ever sent me, which was that one. Yeah. And then consistency phase, building the habits, doing all that stuff. Again, so this is where Brian was at the end of the 12 weeks. Might have been the middle. Might have been 8 weeks, 4 weeks into consistency. I'm trying to remember. But anyway, I'm not there yet, so I can't have a question mark to where I'm going to be at any point in this phase yet. I will update this as we go. And for the final phase, this is where we're going to be at. There's Brian being all shredded with giant biceps. He's actually only like 5 pounds lighter than he was in that previous photo. But because he lost more weight and then put on muscle in the weeks that followed that during the ownership phase, he just looks 10 times more jacked. And then bam, there's me and what I'm envisioning I'm going to look like. If you haven't done that, do that. Find some AI thing or something that'll turn you into like a future version of yourself. Doesn't have to be a fucking cartoon character, but do that and visualize what it's going to look like and pretend like you've already done it. Right? Like, I don't need to guess if I'm going to lose 55 pounds in 6 months, because I've already done it. That's me in the future. He came back and told me that I did it. I've done it. And that's all there is to it. So now my only job is to follow the steps that he's already taken. That's the way I view it. It might be cheesy. It might be a little vision questy, but at the end of the day, I find it really motivating and very helpful to know, like, when I'm stuck in I want to eat this, or should I do this? Should I do that? Well, fuck, what did I already do? Okay, I chose this one. And then you go the right direction, right? Yeah, so that's kind of it. I don't know why I've got calorie inputs there, to be honest, because I have no idea where I'm going to be at that stage in my life. And I mean, it'll probably be around there, but I think I've got everything. I don't know if I left anything out. The BodySmith system is about more than getting shredded. It's about getting back to your life and feeling in control after being stuck in an exhausting cycle, so that you stop starting over and finally see real visible progress. For many, the results have been life-changing and, more importantly, possible/sustainable. The principles learned become more than just fitness. They carry over to just about every goal or dream that you can come up with. Apply these strategies to anything consistently, and it's almost impossible to fail. And that right there, I believe, is with everything. If you come up with a plan, you track that plan consistently, and you take action and make sure that you are doing everything the way you planned it, you are able to read the data and get to your dream state or your end goal. If you're not getting to your dream state or your end goal, then you can reevaluate the plan based off the data that you've already tracked, and use that data to build another plan, that whatever adjustments you need to make, and then get yourself back on track, and then do it again. And you follow that until you achieve whatever it is you set out to. Because if you implement that stuff and you do it with intention and commitment, you're going to fucking succeed. I don't care what it is you're trying to accomplish. You're going to fucking succeed. And I believe that. You need to believe that wholeheartedly. Anyway. So again, I said in the beginning that, I obviously do hope to get some sort of coaching out of this, but I hope that you understand exactly how this process works. I do have an offer for you. If you're burned out, overwhelmed, overweight, sick of not having the life you deserve, you're ready to break out of that cycle and take control, and look back and think, man, that is when everything changed for me. Let me help you stop feeling like a passenger in your own life. Let's take back control through a 4 to 6 month transformation using the proven system built on discipline, tracking, and accountability, so you stop starting over and finally see real visible progress. If this doesn't work for you, I won't walk away. I won't just say, he screwed himself. I will keep coaching you until it does. That is my offer. Like, you may be paying for something in the beginning and you're going to get results. And that's why I can guarantee that. I can guarantee that because I've never had someone fail that put in the work, ever. So if you really want to do it, by all means, don't get me wrong. I laid it all out there for you, and you could definitely do it on your own. I'm not going to sit here and act like you can't. And I hope that you do. But if you need help, or you've tried and you want something that's less of a, I think I can do it, to I know I can fucking do it, then reach out to me. I'll put a link in the description when this video is dropped so we can set up a call. And it might not be a great fit. Like, we might not mesh. It might not be what you're looking for once you've talked to me. And that is perfectly okay. But let's get on that call. Let's talk to each other and let's figure this out. If nothing else, the worst comes of worst of it, I'll give you some advice, or I'll push you towards somebody who I think can help you more, or a direction that's there. It's not a coaching call. It's a consultation where we feel each other out and I see what I can do for you, and let's knock it out. Let's get it done. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. This is an extremely long video. It's almost an hour. It's over an hour probably by the time it's all said and done. So hopefully you guys learned something. If you follow it A to Z, you have a guide on exactly how to reach where you're trying to get to. If you don't want to do anything else, you can always follow along on my journey. I know the videos suck right now, but they will be getting better. I am working at it, and it's just going to take a long time. It's something I've literally never done before. So it's been a lot of. All right, guys, I know that was a long video. I tried to pack as much stuff as I could in there. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of it. I know the presentation style might not have been the easiest, but if you were able to sit through that and take notes, I guarantee you can make that transformation just off the information in that video. If you would like some help anywhere along your journey, or if you're just starting out and you just want to, guarantee your results and hit it off with a bang, book a call. I'll put the link down below. If you would like more information like that, leave a comment. And yeah, like and subscribe, do whatever you need to do. And I'll keep pushing out as much beneficial information as I can to help you guys on your journey. Thank you.